What's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T here, back with another video, and this is going to be a long video because we're going to go on an adventure here talking about the GameCube and my impressions of it and what happened subsequently with that generation for Nintendo, or at least how I feel things went. Personally, what I saw at the time, because I was a grown man when this happened. The GameCube came out. I was there day one at launch, and so we're just going to go through a journey of my experience with the GameCube and how I felt about that generation and what happened specifically for Nintendo. Alright, so you're looking here and you're like, this is a GameCube video. What is this stack of 360 games here? Oh boy, we're going to get into it. So, alright, first off, we all know the GameCube came out, sold about 22 million units, a little bit less than 22 million consoles. It is often regarded as a third place console that generation, the third place finisher in that generation, but it wasn't that far behind Xbox. I think original Xbox sold 24 million, so it wasn't like it was just totally trounced by Sony and Xbox. It was trounced by Sony. Everybody got trounced by Sony hardware wise. But I don't think, when it comes to like first party software or anything like that, Sony wasn't doing a whole lot that special. And even, some third party games didn't sell like astronomically better. The ones that came out on GameCube as well over the PS2 or the Xbox versions. But yeah, let's talk about it. So I was very excited for the GameCube. I was reading about the Nintendo Dolphin ever since like 1999. I think they came up with that code name. It was very exciting. Rumors were going rampant. It was crazy. It was a fun time for rumors because it wasn't about clickbait. It wasn't like making up rumors for you to watch my video. It was like full on, like this is what people were hearing at the time, or just kind of urban myths when it comes to video games. That was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun back then. And there was a lot of mock-ups and whatnot for what the GameCube was going to look like. Again, it wasn't called the GameCube, it was called the Dolphin. There was a lot of really space-age cool things that, the year 2000 type of stuff that got us all excited about how the console looked. A lot of it was like, what they do today. They kind of enhance the current console and make it a little bit like futuristic looking and whatnot. They did the same thing with the Dolphin. They had like an N64 kind of base, and then it was like this kind of futuristic kind of look to it back in the day. Hopefully I can find some stuff online to show you what it looked like back in the day. Some of the mock-ups and whatnot. Very interesting stuff. So it ended up being called the GameCube. It was Nintendo's first time. They're going to use discs for the first time. I think Howard Lincoln was the president of marketing or something in Nintendo of America. And he was talking about, yes, we're going to do DVDs. And so we were all excited. There was going to be no discrepancies between the consoles. And then Nintendo decided to go with these beautiful little things here. These, well, they're just called mini DVDs. I think that's what they were just called, mini DVDs. The GameCube disc or whatever, something bland like that. But so we knew we weren't going to get movie playback really at all. So, but it was about the games. And the cool thing about these little discs here was that the size of them and just kind of the laser that was in the GameCube made for reading discs faster. And so games loaded a lot faster on the GameCube, like compared to other consoles. Like if you had a title that was a multi-plat, cross-platform game, it would load faster on the GameCube, and that was a cool advantage to exist. And it's also a lot easier to handle than your full-size disc because you get fingerprints on them. And I think Nintendo was probably thinking a lot of their gamers would be smaller, children and whatnot also. And so you wanted to have a disc that they could actually hold in their hand and not screw up. And these were definitely different build quality. They were a little harder, a little stronger than your typical kind of DVD at the time. So a lot of I've seen it so many times on this website, on here on YouTube, where people would prognosticate, and a lot of them are dudes in their 30s. And they don't really remember. Again, I was a grown man when the GameCube came out. So I remember it very vividly. I remember going into Walmart. I actually worked at Walmart at the time, so I got like a discount, a 10% discount on my GameCube purchase, and I remember vividly what happened. So a lot of guys are talking about, oh, one of the big things that hurt the GameCube was, yes, Nintendo finally did DVDs, they finally did discs, but they had to do something crazy and make these little mini discs, and it just hurt developers. Nonsense. Complete, utter nonsense. Anytime you see a video where a person says that, go to the comments and say that's garbage nonsense you're talking about when it comes to the multiple disc aspect of the GameCube. So yes, some games on the GameCube had to have multiple discs. Resident Evil 4, I believe, had multiple discs. There's tons of games. I'm not going to go through them all. But all of a sudden, when it came to the GameCube, that was a problem. But if you look here, I have a stack of games here. In the previous generation, it was no problem. Especially for PlayStation. PlayStation had many multiple disc games. Here you go with Fear Effect. This is a 4-disc game. And developers had no problem making this game here. Let's move on to Sony's own studios. Legend of Dragoon. 4-disc, I believe Legend of Dragoon is. Yes, 4-disc game. There you go. Legend of Dragoon, 4 discs. No problem. Multiple discs there. Let's keep going. Chrono Cross. Also 4 discs? Is it 3? Yes, it's 3 discs. No, 2 discs. Chrono Cross, 2 discs. There you go. Multiple disc game made by Square. And Square, obviously had no problem doing that. Here you go. Another one. Xenogears. This is 2 discs. Yes, 2 discs. Xenogears. For PlayStation, 2 discs, no problem, no complaining. I don't remember them talking about that. Obviously, here's the Final Fantasy Anthology. Is this multiple disc? I don't think it is. Yeah, it's 2 discs. So it's like your Super Nintendo Final Fantasies all in one place. There you go. And then we have Gran Turismo, another Sony SCEA game. Polyphony Digital. Polyphony. Is it Polyphony? Polyphony Digital. This is a big game and had to take multiple discs. Like I said, Square again had no problem making multi-disc games. There's your Final Fantasy VII. There is Final Fantasy IX there, multiple disc. There is Vagrant Story from Squaresoft, multiple disc. And there is Final Fantasy VIII. Multi-disc games. So no problems, right? So there's no problems. So then you would say, well, they moved into the next generation. They had DVDs, and there was no need to do that anymore. Companies wanted to just completely move away from that. And mostly for the most part, original Xbox didn't have multiple disc games, I don't remember, and neither did PlayStation, because there were 4.7 gigs. Seemed to be enough even for Square games. I could be wrong. There might be a game here or there that use multiple discs, but I think DVDs also have the capabilities of dual layer, so there could be 2 layers on the same side. So the disc or the eye or the laser eye could read multiple layers on the same side of a disc. So that was a technology. So even if they were, I don't think they needed them. But then you move into Xbox 360, PS3, Wii generation, and Xbox had no problem because Xbox was still a DVD console at the time. As we all know, PlayStation 3 went with Blu-rays, and you can add a HD DVD add-on, but that was mostly it's only for movies as far as I know. But then you have stuff like here. You have this game here, Lost Odyssey. I'm sure you've heard of it. This game is a 4-disc game for the Xbox 360. There was no problem. You could say, well, hey, Xbox, they helped fund that game, with Square. I think there was Square Enix developers Square developers on this. So Lost Odyssey, all right, they helped fund that, and maybe with Infinite Discovery or in Discovery 2, I don't know. I don't think this is on anything else. It might be only on, yes, it says it right there, only on Xbox 360. So Infinite Discovery, they funded that game, blah, blah, blah. They funded it. Multiple disc game. This is 2 discs for Infinite and Discovery, another Squaresoft game. There you go. All right. Well, then what's the case when it comes to LA Noire? LA Noire is a 3-disc game, right? No, it's 2 discs. I thought it was 3. Oh yeah, it is 3 discs. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Right, 3 discs. L.A. Noire. This is a Rockstar game, and it was published by Rockstar. This was not a game that Xbox or Microsoft helped fund, and they did multiple discs on that. No problem. Let's keep it going. Oh, you might have heard of this game, Skyrim. Now, this is the Legendary Edition. I don't know if the original edition came out with 2 discs. I feel like it did, but I don't remember. I bought Skyrim so many times. As you can see, there's 2 discs in there. 2 discs. What I'm saying, 3. 2 discs for Skyrim. So Bethesda had no problem doing that. Oh, Grand Theft Auto. Well, the complete edition. I'm pretty sure the complete edition on PS3 didn't have multiple discs because again it was Blu-ray, but the DVD version obviously did on Xbox 360. And here you go. You have the main game itself, and then you have the Lost in the Dam and the Ballad of Gay Tony, and you needed an extra disc for that to play it on Xbox 360, no problem, right? And then again, another special edition type of disc that wouldn't have needed multiple discs, I think, on PlayStation 3. So you have Far Cry compilation. You have Far Cry 2, 3, and Blood Dragon, which is an amazing DLC for Far Cry 3. And then you have multiple discs, no problem. So I don't know why that narrative is spent all the time when it comes to GameCube, that multiple discs was just this travesty, because multiple discs haven't been a problem outside of Nintendo. Apparently, it was a problem only for the GameCube. So anytime you see a video, I see them all the time with these GameCube dudes who claim to love the GameCube, and they're in their 30s, maybe their mid 30s, and they're talking about the GameCube and how great it was. But man, those mini discs, nonsense, complete nonsense. Now there are other problems with the GameCube, and I'll probably get into that here, but one of them was not the mini disc, the multiple disc aspect of it. All right, so launch. I should have looked this up, and it was late November, not late November, like mid to late November, like I want to say November 19ish, maybe November 17th, somewhere around there, the GameCube launched. And we got that beautiful indigo GameCube option, and we also got the black GameCube option. I went with the black one because I was feeling a certain kind of way about the purple GameCube in those days, and it was like the purple lunchbox, and a lot of regardless of what people say, that did bother us gamers at the time, because you're in that age where that kind of stuff, you got your ego, I'm becoming a man now, I can't be playing these kiddie things, and it does bother you. A lot of people won't admit that, but yeah, at the time that was something I was just like, that's weird. Why are they doing this purple lunchbox thing? I remember when they first revealed it, I was using like what was it called? Microsoft. What was it called? Web TV. I was using Web TV, and I was watching the Space World unveiling. I think it was Space World 2000, where they unveiled the GameCube, and I was sitting there buffering, clicking the freaking remote, trying to watch the reveal of it, and they finally showed what the console looked like, and they gave it the name, and I was like, this is not going to do well. And I didn't feel good saying that, because I was like, finally Nintendo's going to come back with a disc-based console. They're going to get all the third parties back, and it's going to be one of the most amazing systems out there. And I just knew, just by looking at it, that the machismo aspect of gamers at that time, because I had grown up with gaming, so I was late teens, early 20s, and I knew what guys like me were thinking at the time, and they saw that purple lunchbox and said, nah, I'm out. So I opted to get this one. This is my launch GameCube right here, the black one there. You see it there. It's a little crusty. It's got some sticker stuff on it, but I can clean it off. And yes, I love this little GameCube. I just love it. It's not quite a cube, but that's fine. Has this little handle on the back. This was justified as, I can carry this around, but that didn't make a lot of sense, because you still needed your hookups and your controllers and stuff. So just being able to walk around with this in your hand, you still needed a bag to carry all your accessories. So that didn't really make a lot of sense. I think at the time, The workstations that the GameCube, what do you call it? The development kit had these little handles on the back, and it made sense for the office because you can carry them out around the office and just like, you know, hook it up and, you know, work in different floors or whatever if you were working on a game for the GameCube. I think that was the kind of idea for this. I could be wrong, but I think that was the idea for this. So, but I always did like the design of it. I didn't really care for this front. I thought this was kind of boring, the whole gray, just nothingness going on here. You have your controller slots there. You have your controller memory slots there. You have your 4 controller ports here, just like the N64, which was great. It was a nice, solid, compact design. On the back here, you have your power in, your DC in. You have your digital AV, which we'll get to that in a minute, and you have your regular audio video cables, which I have a set here. So you have your red, your white, and your yellow, which is the video, and your red and white are left and right. And you plug it in right here, and you plug this into a TV, a modern TV at the time that took AV inputs. Some had coaxial still on them, but it was mostly AV at that time. And then you had the digital AV port, and that was for the high definition cables, but they were only offered through Nintendo's website or something like that. It was an afterthought. It's like, well, why you put all the money and R&D into this thing and don't give it, you know, don't let people really tap into it. So some people at the time had, you know, higher definition screens and whatnot, but it was still kind of early, so maybe that's why. But then it's like, why even put it on? But I'm glad they did, because for the modern GameCube gamer, this is a godsend. If you don't want to spend $150, $100, $200, whatever it is for the cables, but now there are other options to this, and that's what I opt to do. One of them is the Keiko here. It plugs into your AV port, and as you can see right there, you have an HDMI out, so you get all that goodness. I think this cost me $60, $65 or whatever, and there's a little brace there. You need that, because if this thing shakes around while you're playing, you're gonna burn it out. I actually had that happen to me on one of these Keikos. So honestly, I spent over $100 because the other one shook and it didn't come with this brace. This brace, you need that brace. So because if it shakes around while you're playing and the power's on, it's done. It kills it. At least it doesn't kill your GameCube. So that's cool. This is a really cool way to play GameCube games modern. You can do stuff. You can stretch the screen. You can add filters and whatnot. It's a very cool little device. I found this on Amazon if you are looking to get yourself one. Now, I did later on get, because I wanted it to match my Game Boy Advance. So I did later on grab the purple lunchbox GameCube here, and as you can see, there is the eject button to open up your lid there, and you put your game disc in, and it's very easy. You just put it in there, pop it in like that, very easy, and then you can just press the little button to get it out. Now, some people don't do that. You don't really have to do it. You just pull it out like that, but the easy way is just to press the button, the disc pops up, and it's good. These are very sturdy consoles. Which one is it? Is it this one? I think the purple one, this one here had the optical drive go out on me, and so I don't use it for that. I can easily replace it or do something I'll show you later that I did for my other GameCube here. But yes, I think this was like probably 2006 I bought this. I wanted just to have it for the collection. But my second GameCube that I got in 2003 was the Platinum one, and I think that's when this one came out, and I really love this one. This is the one I played on the most. I just love the Platinum GameCube. The gray looks a little bit better. The gray flatness of the controller port area looks a lot better, and I just love how the little jewel with the black jewel on top looks a lot nicer on the Platinum one. So And you have all your ports here. You have your broadband, which Nintendo barely did anything with. Your serial ports and whatnot. There's a bunch of little ports on the bottom, and they did get used for something really cool. So I'm going to pop these off right now. Pop them off. And I'm going to show you one of the coolest add-on to the GameCube, and that is the Game Boy Player. Now, I forgot to grab my disc for this, but you do need the disc that goes in here. I do have it. It's up on the shelf. I don't feel like going to get it. You need the Game Boy Player disc. You put it in here, the GameCube slot, close it. That's the only way you can play GameCube or Game Boy Advance games and Game Boy Color games. Game Boy, just regular Game Boy games right there. And then I got just so happen to have a game here, an unauthorized game. This is Mother 3 English version. This is an English fan translation of the game. So you put it in here, push down, and you can play your games on the big TV, which is nice. Has a lot of cool filters and all that good stuff as well that you can mess around with. And when you want to eject it, you can pull it out, or you can press this little thing on the side here up to put it out. And it comes out very easy, very slick. Game Boy Player was a really nice addition. I believe this was also 2003. I think Nintendo figured, hey, the GameCube is not selling well, but the Game Boy Advance is selling beautifully. So let's try to get those Game Boy Advance fans to buy a GameCube. Not a bad idea. Didn't quite work. Maybe it was a little bit too late when it came out. But yes, that is my favorite GameCube, the Platinum one here. I have allergies. I hope I don't sniffle too much or anything like that. Drive you guys crazy. I'm just going to try to power through it. My allergies. I have chronic allergies. And much later, was it last year or the year before, I picked up this beauty. This is only in Japan, this color, and it's called the Spice Orange GameCube. And while we're doing that, let me just show you the Platinum controller, which I have. I have the purple, or excuse me, indigo controller as well. This is one of the best things about the GameCube. Everybody loves this controller. It melts in your hand. It's so ergonomic. It's so beautiful to hold even to this day. It's fantastic. And here is the Spice Orange one as well. There you go. And it's going to be hard to see. My lighting is very bright. Maybe I'll just show it in an insert in this video. It's a little dusty too. I need to clean that up. And so let's continue on. Game Boy Player is fantastic. Like I said, one of the best additions to the Game Boy or the GameCube library or the GameCube peripherals. Should I continue? Yeah, I'll continue on, and then I'll start talking about the launch titles and all that good stuff. So yes, this one here specifically, I modded because this I got a really good deal on because it didn't have a disk drive in it. Didn't have a disk drive, and I was like, oh, I really want that. It's a good price. So what can I do? Well, I can put in my own drive. This is like I said, this is Japanese only. You have to have the little mod chip or whatever. Or you can mod it, and I modded this to play games off an SD card. So I'm going to pop this open, and see if you can see there. Instead of a disk drive, I have an SD card, an SD card slot in there, and I could play games digitally. And I don't have to swap out my games if I don't want to. And I have a ton of games on there. You know, but mostly my library. There's a couple more that I never got for GameCube. Some of the more expensive stuff I'm not going to spend $1,000 on, like Gotcha Force and whatnot like that. But so I can play them like that digitally on here. Really cool option. And yeah, so before I get into the games, one more thing. So we're talking peripherals. This is one of the best of all time. This is the Wavebird. I'm trying to get all that light out of the way. This is the Wavebird controller. Fantastic. Now, nowadays, wireless controllers, who cares? Big deal, right? They were everywhere. But back in these days, the early 2000s, the wireless options were infrared, and they were always really crappy because you had to point it right at the receiver. You couldn't move around too much. but this is RF, which is radio frequency. And so on the bottom here, you have these little dials, all these different channels. I think there's like, I don't know, 12 channels or something like that. So you can, you know, play with 12 different Wavebirds in the same place on different channels and not have to worry about it. And so, but you got to have this little dongle here, or this is useless. So this is the receiver itself. This plugs into your slot here, and there you go. And then when it's working, you're on the right channel. When this is on the channel that this is on, because this also has the little dial at the bottom, you have to set them to both the same channel. You get a little green light here. I put a sticker on here of Samus, as you can see there. So every time I play the game and it moves, her visor lights up green. And even to this day, I can't take the sticker off if I wanted to. It's like sealed on there now. I got the sticker out of Nintendo Power, and I was like, oh, it fits perfectly onto my receiver, and I could put Samus's visor area over the little green light, and it lights up. Now, games, launch titles. I think GameCube launch titles were not the best. There was some pretty good stuff there, but nothing to really hold you over until the bigger games came out. And I'll get into that in a second. I got to get the peripherals out the way. I got to do one more. All right. So Game Boy Player, right? Game Boy Player. There was a Hori, Hori, controller that looked like a Super Nintendo that came out with it. I didn't buy it at the time. I don't know. I just never bought it. I should have. And it looks just like a Super Nintendo, but it's a Hori controller. And it plugs right into your GameCube. And I never bought it. But recently, I was like, I want to get one of those. I want to get something like it. Is there a adapter that I could just use my Super Nintendo controller to make it work? And I found one. I found some seller in the UK, and he actually had one. So as you can see here, this goes into your GameCube. You plug it into your GameCube slot, controller slot. Perfect, right? And this right here, this says SNES 2GC. I don't know if you should be able to see that. SNES 2GC. So your Super Nintendo controller goes into there, and then voila! I can use my Super Nintendo controller to play Game Boy games on the Game Boy Player for GameCube, and it works beautifully. But then a little bit later on, I just happened to spot this on Amazon called this old school pad here, and this is much cheaper. I think this was $35 or $40, and no adapter necessary. It does what the Ori controller did. It plugs right in. It has the GameCube slot in it, the GameCube port for the GameCube, and you just plug it right in. And I'll just do that right now. Plug it in there, and then it works just like the Super Nintendo controller. The Super Nintendo controller feels a little better, but this is not bad. This is very close, and it looks this looks like the Ori pad. So the Ori pad actually had this same kind of button layout, the GameCube button layout, unlike the Super Nintendo. So it was still kind of cool that way. And I wanted something that was, similar to the Ori one. I don't know how much they cost now if you want to go grab one, but I don't think they cost that much more. I'm sure it's a pretty niche market, and so maybe not a lot of people have, looked into it. My allergies are driving me insane. And obviously, you need memory cards because this is a disc-based system that didn't have any flash built in or anything like that. So this is the high-capacity GameCube memory card. I think it was like memory 150 or 128 or something like that. It doesn't say it on there, I'm sure. But this is the biggest one you can get. These black ones. There were gray ones that you could buy, but those couldn't hold anything. You could hold one thing of Madden or whatever, and that was it. It was done. But these were higher capacity. They held a lot more. So I have two here. But there's also third-party ones. I don't remember. Oh, this one says it right here. So this one says 16 megabytes, which is insane. I think this is like a modern modded one. I don't know if this came out back in the day. And then this is one that did come back in the day, made by Mad Catz, which was one of my favorite third-party peripheral makers for different consoles. And Mad Catz is 16 times the gray one, not this one, not 16 times this, but 16 times the space of the normal gray ones, which was a lot. So very cool. And you know, you need those, right? So, all right, now to the games. And then I'll get into one more peripheral as I'm talking about the game. So, the launch lineup, I didn't get everything, but I'm going to show you the, what did I buy? 4 or 5 games? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 5 games. So, here's the 5 games that I bought for the GameCube. Right here. These are my launch titles. These are my day one titles. One of them is a repurchase, as you'll be able to tell pretty quickly. But here we go. First one is, I'm going to hide those so you can't see them. All right. First one is Wave Race Blue Storm. There you go. And I think Nintendo was trying to recapture what they did with the N64, as far as like, you know, making you feel like, oh, this is you know, these are games. These are the successors to those games. This is the beautiful, more beautiful graphic versions of your favorite N64 games. And this was almost that. There's something off about this game. I don't know if there's something in the programming. Maybe somebody will discover this one day. Kind of like Alien Colonial Marines, where there was like one line of code was off, and it kind of ruined the AI in the game. But this game is gorgeous. The water physics are spot on. The water graphics are amazing. Just the graphics in general are amazing in this game. But the control is just something off. There's something slightly off about the controls in this game. I don't know what it is. And it's funny because I was watching Metal Jesus Rocks video. Metal Jesus video. He is a retro YouTuber. I've been watching him for probably 12 years or something like that. And he said the same thing. I was like, what? I was blown away when I heard him say that. He said, there's just something wrong. There's something off about the controls of this game. And that's unfortunate because everything else about this game, fantastic. So that's that one blemish that kind of ruins it. I don't want to say ruins it completely, but definitely messes it up. And you can see these games here, but you can't see my launch title. Now this was the launch title that was like really blew me away. As you can see, it says player's choice on it. This is not my original one. Some games I would trade in or pawn shop them. I was struggling at the time. I was a struggling college student. And I just, you know, I would need money here and there. And I'd put my games in a pawn shop and I'd freaking forget them. And they'd be taken after 30 days or whatever. And you just lose them. But yeah, this is one of the games that happened with. But I played the crap out of this game. And I just wanted to rebuy it for my collection. And so, yeah, Rogue Squadron, this game it still looks great. Runs at 60 frames. The graphics are very nice. Made by Factor 5, who are just wizards when it came to pulling the best out of hardware. This game is phenomenal. The audio was great in this. It was a special Dolby. I can't remember if it was Dolby just 5.1 or Dolby Digital something. But it was. Is it on here? Maybe it's on here. Fantastic. I don't see it anywhere. But yeah, this game, amazing. This was another kind of better sequel to an N64 game, which was Rogue Squadron. This is part 2. And man, this looks light years ahead of that game, which blew my mind back in the day when it came out. So, I mean, I don't need to tell you what Rogue Leader looks like. I mean, it's just a phenomenal game today. They need to remake it, remaster it, remake it, not remaster it, but remake it, and put it out. So that's game number 2 that I bought day 1. Game number 3 that I bought day 1, Luigi's Mansion, right? Luigi's Mansion, fantastic game. It's a little short. It was fine. Like, it was... up until that point, we had gotten a Mario game, a big Mario adventure, a platformer or whatever, on a new Nintendo console. And this was the first time we didn't, and I kind of felt it. You know, this game is really good. It's actually not my favorite in the series. I like the other 2 better than this one. I still like it, but I do like the visual style of this one better than I like in 2 and 3. especially when it comes to the ghosts and stuff, the transparency look of them. I just think they look more non-goofy. They look more, kind of like almost like Ghostbusters type of stuff. But yeah, this is a really cool game. Where's my freaking magazine? But this is probably the first game we saw shown off. I think it was at E3. It was kind of a blowout. And yes, but I still kind of felt like, man, I want my Mario game though. This is cool, but I wanted that Mario game. And that happened a lot when it came to GameCube. This is cool, but when it came to me, I'm not going to say everybody felt that way, but when it came to me, that's how I felt. And this game, Super Monkey Ball, Sega did their thing on GameCube, and they did their thing on Xbox as well. I think PlayStation probably didn't get as much love, but yeah, Super Monkey Ball. This was already in the arcades, and it was just a great arcade experience at home. Arcade though, you play it for a little while, you're kind of done. It's a puzzle game in a way. It's a puzzle platformer. You're rolling around, you're moving the platform, not your ball itself, and you're trying to navigate through drops and traps and whatnot. And fantastic game. Multiplayer too was really cool. Like, I would never expect a multiplayer for this game, but it was a lot of fun. I remember playing multiplayer with my friends a lot on that. And the final game that I got was a doozy, man. Madden 2002. Fantastic. I don't know if I played this one or 2003 the most this generation. I would say probably 2003. Edged it a little bit. But, man, I remember just how this game looked. These games, like, coming from, like, I used to play Quarterback Club, or what's 989 sports game on PlayStation? What was it called? NFL. I forget what it was called. But the PlayStation version from 989 Sports. This game just graphically blew it away. This was when the Madden series was at its peak, the early 2000s. 2002, 2001, 2002 to 2006. I think 2006, I played that one a lot too. That's the one with, I think, McNabb on the cover. I think that was the last great Madden game. And they had competition. They had pretty stiff competition from 2K Sports with the NFL, what was it called? NFL 2K series. And those games were phenomenal as well. But at the end of the day, the Madden games won out. And I thought they were really good in this era. And this is one of the best. I played the crap out of this game. Me and my friends played the crap out of it. A lot of my friends were on PS2. So, I had to get like extra controllers to get them to play with me on the GameCube at my crib. So that's what I did. I was like, I'm playing GameCube. I was a real butthurt Nintendo fanboy at that time. Because like I said, you think the Wii U era sucked? Man, that GameCube era was painful for a brother. We got almost no representation when it came to like the video game shows like G4. We were kind of dismissed a lot. It was all about the PS2 and Xbox, which kind of was confusing. I think that was just Microsoft's marketing power and their money at the time. Because again, they didn't sell that much more than the GameCube sold, but yet they were talked about like they were fighting it out with PlayStation, and you barely heard about the GameCube. And the GameCube was a phenomenal system, so it was very annoying. And there were other. Where's my phone? I have a list of the other GameCube launch titles, and so these were good. These were good launch titles. Nothing fantastic. But then you have All-Star Baseball 2002, which I love the All-Star Baseball series on the N64. Phenomenal baseball series. It kind of fell off when it got to GameCube. And, there was a lot of competition as well. This one has sun damage, as you could probably see. I don't know if you can tell. But, yeah, I used to love it. I didn't like this one as much as the N64 ones, but I bought it. I bought it a little later. These games, so those were the games I bought right away. The ones before All-Star Baseball I showed you. Those were the games I bought day one with my GameCube. I spent a ton of money. $200 for the system, and then $50 for each game. So I spent close to $500 on my GameCube with taxes and whatnot. And you know, whatever. That's what we did as gamers. You have Dave Mirra 2, which is fantastic. A lot of people were into Tony Hawk because a lot of people were skateboarding. I didn't skateboard, but I love me some BMXing, and so that was the games I mostly played, BMXing and a lot of dirt bike games, Excite Bites, and your what was the motocross games and whatnot. So that's what I was really into. Dave Mirra, rest in peace to the man. He was my Tony Hawk in those days, and yeah. So you can see my it's torn there, my poor manual, but yeah, Dave Mirra, very cool, very good. It was a very good game. And Batman Vengeance was also a launch title that I bought a little bit later. This one, it was all right. You know, it's not terrible. It's not great. But it, you know, it had the animated series look, the Batman, the animated series from the 90s look, as you can see there. It was pretty fun. And yeah, Ubisoft published that. So that was cool. And so there, that was my launch experience. I'll get into a little bit more later with that, but it was kind of a disjointed launch because Nintendo, like, I think December, came out with 2 games. One of them I forget the freaking grab. I don't know where it is. Pikmin, original Pikmin game, which was a very niche title. So that wasn't gonna like draw a bunch of sales, but this game did. Super Smash Brothers. This came out a little later. I want to say like a couple weeks later. I think it was still in November when this came out, and maybe Pikmin came out in early December. But man, this game, this is a system seller, and had this launched the way it should have launched on GameCube, it may be a different world gaming world we be in right now. If this launched online for GameCube, boy, because Melee, people still play Melee like crazy in tournaments and whatnot. There's still thousands of people watching and playing Melee because this is that game, dude. And Nintendo just dropped the ball and didn't have their online service. They should have, at this time, had their online service at least for a few games. For this, for Mario Kart, maybe Mario Golf, stuff like that. For their main, sports games and whatnot. Had Nintendo done that for the GameCube? Not every game, maybe some of the third-party stuff didn't work. Although they did have Phantasy Star Online on GameCube that did work online. Man, the GameCube would have had a way better life, I think. But they just kind of, I don't understand. Dreamcast had online features, and Nintendo was messing around with online all the way back to the Super Nintendo. So it didn't make a lot of sense that they just said, no, we're not going to do that. I wish they had done that, because this is the type of stuff that would have saved the GameCube. Playing Melee in 2001, bro, that would have killed for the GameCube. All right, so let me get some of this stuff out of the way here. But yeah, man, it was a missed opportunity. I think Animal Crossing is 02, right? Yeah, this came out in 02. Well, the original game, this is an N64 game. This is a port of the N64 Animal Crossing that we never got in the West. Japan got it. The Animal Crossing, I think it was called like Animal, what was it called? It's called something else, like Animal City or something like, I don't know. It wasn't Crossing. But we got this port. It was an enhanced port. Obviously, the graphics were better. Not a whole lot. It was still a little bit blurry. But this is the game that started it all. Do I need to tell you about Animal Crossing? I don't think so. This came with a memory card because you needed the memory card for the game. And I don't think it cost more or anything. Nintendo bit the bullet. So this is the gray one. This is the gray memory card for the GameCube. This is what they look like. And 59 blocks. So it's 59 blocks on this. I think the black one was like 130, 100, something like that. 128, something like that. But yeah, so this they knew you're gonna want memory just for this game alone separately, because this is gonna take up your whole card. And with all the stuff you could unlock, like the different video games, the different like NES games you can unlock and purchase and put in your house, and you can actually play. It was very cool. This was amazing at the time. Nowadays we have all this stuff everywhere, but back then you only play NES games on the NES. You only play Super Nintendo games on the Super Nintendo. So to be able to play some of the classic Nintendo games in another game, like an arcade setup, that was amazing to us at the time. And this game was also amazing. So put that to the side. All right, what are we on time-wise here? Wow, 45 minutes. I'm going to put this whole video up. I'm not going to cut it up, so you guys enjoy. I just threw this in courtside because courtside basketball games were some of my favorite. NBA courtside featuring Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace to the GOAT. One of the GOATs. I go back and forth on if he's my favorite, if I think he's the best of all time. I really do. And I think he gets discredited a lot because of obviously what he had, his legal issues that kind of hurt his legacy a bit. He bounced back when he did the Black Mamba thing. But I think, playing along with Shaq, he doesn't get the credit that he deserved. And look at those teams that he won with when he won without Shaq, the 2 times he won. This dude, look at his stats. Look at those years. He missed out on some MVPs, again, because of his media persona at the time. Nash? Steve Nash won. That was a joke. Steve Nash should not have won that MVP that year. It should have been this dude. His season was disgusting that year. But again, the media stuff gets in. All right, this is a later game. I just wanted to show it because it's just really cool and obscure. Odama. Somebody made this. That surprised me. I looked this up. I want to say it was like... I'm looking for the name on the back here. I don't see it. But I remember like the developer of this surprised me for some reason. Maybe I'll put it on screen or something. But yeah, Odama is a strange game. I probably played 4 hours of this game since it came out. It is very weird, but I just feel like I'm going to get into it at some point, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to understand it, and it's going to work for me. But yeah, this is a pinball strategy war game. It's really weird. So it's kind of like this pinball setup where you're rolling this giant ball and you're destroying enemies and whatnot, but it's not just pinball. There's some strategy involved in it, and it also comes with this peripheral here that you plug into your memory card slot, and it is a microphone. And there was a little gray attachment that would attach to your controller. I know it attached to the Wavebird somehow. I remember that being a thing. I don't know where that attachment is, but you would put commands into the microphone. This game is weird. It's one of those weird things, like a Seaman for Dreamcast. It was just a strange thing. This is a strange game. Look it up. It's a weird game, but I had to have it because it was weird. And I like when Nintendo does weird stuff. And I believe that was only on Nintendo. Actually, maybe it's a Nintendo developer because I don't see anybody on the cover here. But I knew something with the development was strange to me. Was curious to me. All right, so that is the games, the launch games, and a few others, like I said. But I'm going to share other games as well. But I just want to say, this era of Nintendo was very strange, and it felt a lot like the Wii U era. Now, the Wii U era, Wii U got a lot more didn't get it as much third party as the Gamecube did. But it felt like Nintendo was confused as far as how they wanted to market the GameCube and how they wanted to market the Wii. If you go back and look at the GameCube marketing, it was weird. It was almost Sega Saturn-esque, which was very strange. It was these cubes and just weird things inside the cubes that would represent games. It just wasn't connecting. Nintendo just didn't know who they wanted their audience to be. This was a core console, but it did other things. And again, Microsoft jumped in, and this was right after September 11th, which was, I think, also hurt the launch of both of those consoles. PlayStation 2 came out in 2000, so they had a year window of just like success, and the fact that it was backwards compatible, that eased a lot of more people into it. The fact that it had a DVD player built in. Again, if you guys don't remember, and I'm sure some of you don't, DVD players at the time the PlayStation 2 came out, were $500 and more. $500 for a DVD player, a good one. And here you can buy a game console that plays DVDs for $200 less than that, for $300. I'm just gonna say Sony was losing their ass on each system sold, but they took that risk, they took that gamble to put more consoles into people's homes, and that worked out for them. Not everybody could have done that. Nintendo would have went bankrupt had they done something like that and it didn't work. Or just even if it did work, they would have really needed to sell a lot of software to sustain that, and Nintendo wasn't going to do that. And Xbox, they kind of did this kind of hybrid thing where you had to buy a controller or a remote control to use DVD functions. I don't know if it was completely locked to that. I just can't remember. But I think that did unlock your DVD function. So that way, if you bought that thing, it paid for the DVD functionality. Like I think there was some kind of royalty payment that they had to pay to the DVD authority or something like that. And they didn't want to pay that out of pocket, so they passed that on to you. But yeah, so you talk about like just vitriolic eras of fanboyism. I think PS2, GameCube, N64, Xbox was that era. It was, it was the height of G4 and whatnot. And as a GameCube, as a Nintendo fan, GameCube fan, I felt like we just weren't getting respect at all, bro. We were not getting respect. It was tough being a GameCube fanboy in those days. The Wii U era was tough as well. Obviously, you had the onslaught of social media that just elevated it, but it was just a tough era for a Nintendo fan during the GameCube. But the GameCube had some phenomenal games. I mean, I can get into all of them. I just want to look at some standouts here that were, well, at least they were, they were exclusive. But, the GameCube didn't sell well, so they eventually went to other consoles. Resident Evil 4, I mean, what do I need to say about that? Nothing. We just got the remake of that. Again, 2 discs. Oh, my God. It ruined this game. It ruined relations. No, it didn't matter. These discs were not expensive. They were less expensive to manufacture than, because there was less material, than your typical DVD. So that wasn't a problem. So don't let people tell you that. Challenge them on that. Battalion Wars, phenomenal game. This is supposed to be basically a GameCube version of Advance Wars, but it became like a real-time action game, and it's phenomenal. And it also has a sequel on Wii, which is also very good. Hidden gems. I guess this is a hidden gem. It shouldn't be, but really good game. Here's another. Oh, we can do it better graphically. N64 game, 1080 Avalanche. I actually like this better than I like 1080 snowboarding on N64. This is the superior game to me. The graphics are wonderful. The controls to me are better, much better on this than they were on the N64. So that's why I like this one better. I can pull tricks off better. I can do my thing better in this game. Phenomenal. The snow effects, beautiful. Now this is one of those games I was talking about when I said, oh, this felt very much like Wii U. Not Pac-Man 2, Pac-Man World 2. We all know that. It's a good game. Pac-Man Versus. Nintendo did this whole big thing about Pac-Man Versus with Miyamoto. And you know what? It felt very similar to when Nintendo rolled out that E3 where they had Giant Robot and those games that were supposed to show you what the Wii U can do, the gamepad can do. Those experimental games by Miyamoto. Pac-Man Versus felt very similar to that. But this game is so good. It is very good. But it requires you to have like a Game Boy Advance or 2 Game Boy Advances. How many? I can't remember. It's 2 to 4 players. So you had to have at least 1 Game Boy Advance. And it worked the way the Wii U gamepad worked. Where the guy with the Game Boy Advance had a different perspective. So that was the only problem with this game, is that you had to have a Game Boy Advance. I did, but not everybody did, right? So that was the thing that was tough. But everybody had a Wii U gamepad, so but those games just didn't do it for the casual audience to get people excited for the GameCube. And the same thing with the Wii U, Project Giant Robot, and I forget the other ones that Nintendo rolled out. They just didn't really do it to get fans excited. This is one of my all-time favorite games, period. This is one of the best Sonic Team games there is, original, other than like that was outside of Knights or outside of obviously Sonic. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. This game needs a Saturday morning cartoon still. Somebody please make a animated show or something with Billy Hatcher. It is such a cool little concept. I love it so much, and I wish somebody would pick this up. Sega's doing, they're doing what Nintendo's doing with their IP. Do something with Billy Hatcher, please. This character, this world, this idea. Love this game. Only on GameCube. Well, also on PC back then, but I don't think you can play it anywhere on PC today. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. This was a big deal because Square was done with Nintendo, and they finally came back and they made a exclusive title for Nintendo, and it was Crystal Chronicles. And it's good. I would say this is an 8 out of 10 type of game. Very cool. I like this game a lot. It also, there's something else special about it. I think this also, yeah. So there's a lot of functionality. You had that little symbol at the bottom there, where you can hook up your Game Boy Advance and get more cool features and stuff like that. You can play off the Game Boy Advance with stuff like Legend of Zelda, Four Swords Adventure, stuff like that. But yeah, it was what Nintendo was trying to do. These little things they were trying to do to get people to play or to buy into GameCube. Custom Robo. This is actually the third Custom Robo game. There were 2 of them on N64 that never came out outside of Japan. So I think this is the best one. I played them all. Obviously, there's a language barrier with the other 2. But this is a really good game. I guess it's a hidden gem. It's very good. You customize your robot. You battle in an arena. It's a lot of fun. Pokemon Coliseum. Do I need to tell you what this game is? Not really. I thought it was just going to be like Pokemon Stadium for the GameCube, but it's more than that. There's a story and all that cool stuff. There's a world to play in. And so it was a surprise to me because I thought it was just going to be like, oh, bring your Game Boy Advance Pokemon over and play them in the Coliseum. But it's more than that. And this is very heavily story focused. Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. This is one of my favorite Pokemon games. I wish Pokemon would have continued doing stuff like this and expanding this idea. The graphics in this are phenomenal. A lot of people made fun of like the newer Pokemon games, saying that the the Pokemon animations and stuff like I think they are better in this than they are in like Sword and Shield or something. These games are beautiful. I think was it Namco that co-developed? I feel like they were, but I could be wrong. I don't see their names anywhere here. But I feel like this game specifically, Namco had something to do with. But it just says Game Freak on the back here, so maybe I'm wrong about that. Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance. Path of Radiance. Radiant Dawn is the Wii one. So Path of Radiance. Fantastic. This is the game I fell in love with Fire Emblem over. This is the first Fire Emblem game I've played, but this is Fire Emblem. Like it's expanded into other things, but this is like core Fire Emblem. I love this game. And I still haven't bought the Fire Emblem game, I forget what it's called, on Switch that came out last January, I think it was. Still haven't bought that yet, and they say I've heard that it's a lot like this, which makes me happy. Without all the extra bells and whistles, it's just straight up Fire Emblem strategy RPG, which is phenomenal. This game is super expensive today, especially for a complete copy. But Very good game to play. Again, you can always emulate it and play it on your digital GameCube or on your computer. So I would definitely highly recommend that one. Quirky ass Chibi Robo. What's the plug into adventure? This is a weird game. This is a task management type of game where you're kind of taking care of a family and you're keeping the house clean and you're just taking care of things around the house. Love this game. This is a game that a lot of fans want to see come back in some manner. We've had like spin-off games like Zip Trash, I should call it. The only thing good about that game is it came with an amiibo of Chibi Robo. But yeah, this game is really cool. I like the visuals in it. It has that really quirky, weird Japanese kind of feel to it. And yeah, I would like to see another game in that ilk. This is a fantastic game. I think this was made by InSpace. I think that was the developer at Nintendo. I don't think they have that studio anymore. They probably dispersed them out to other local studios. But Geist. This is a really cool game where you can possess people, possess objects to move along because you're a ghost. You are a Geist. And it's very cool first-person adventure game. I don't want to call it a straight-up shooter because it's not. Because there's that element of like you have to scare people to be able to possess them. You have to do certain things in the environment, like make things move, and they freak out, and that way they become susceptible to being possessed. And very cool game. I wish and this came out really late. I think this came out in 2005 or something, so a lot of people just missed it. But it's a very good game. Nintendo should think about remastering this. This is the type of stuff you should be remastering for the Switch, my friend. You're wasting the Switch's popularity if you don't put stuff like this on the Switch. And Chibi Robo, I might add. And obviously, last but not least in the games I'm showing here, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. I just love that. I love the title and the subtitle, Sanity's Requiem. This is this is Nintendo's Resident Evil. Just to put it simply. But yeah, this is a fantastic game. Fantastic. Now, I'm not in love with the combat. Nobody really talks about it because it's kind of but the story is fantastic. Some of the gameplay elements are fantastic, but the story is what really drives this game. Puzzle elements and obviously the sanity effects, which don't hold up today because a lot of the stuff is like weird or early 2000s TV stuff. You have weird things happening to your TV, that don't happen to modern TVs. But you have stuff like your memory card look like it's erasing, like some kind of glitch, just to mess with you. Like if you see too many ghosts or monsters or whatever, your sanity meter goes up, and if it overfills, weird things start happening. Very cool game. I wish they would continue that series, but we don't have it. But yeah, that's my GameCube video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, GameCube is a great console with some really cool games on it. I still put the N64 above it to this day. I think N64 had more impactful stuff happening with it. But I was a GameCube fanboy, and I was elitist. I want that PlayStation 2. I finally caved into that. I caved into the Xbox. I was really mad with Microsoft for taking Rare away from Nintendo, but honestly, Rare kind of lost it a little bit after, I don't know, Jet Force Gemini. Because Perfect Dark came out after that. Perfect Dark and Conker's Bad Fur Day. After that, they didn't really have it. Like people like Star Fox Adventures. I didn't. I'm playing Dinosaur Planet, which was the original Vision. I like that better. But it's Rare's Zelda. That's what Rare did a lot. They did their version of a Nintendo game, and that was Rare's Zelda. But so they haven't done really anything of note past that. Viva Pinata was really cool. Sea of Thieves is a huge success, so I give them that, but it's not my kind of game. Rare, that I grew up with Rare, with that type of platformer or action game that I really like from them. But yeah, it was a weird generation, especially for Nintendo. and they turned it around with the Wii. And a lot of people hate on the Wii. And I'm gonna do a video like this for the Wii as well. But yeah, it was just a strange generation for Nintendo, and I don't think I would change anything, because it led to the Wii, which is a system, was one of my favorite systems of all time. That struggle just, changed and sculpted and molded Nintendo to give us the Switch, and the Switch obviously was a huge success. I don't know if they get there if the GameCube sold 60 million units, right? I think it would be a different world. We probably wouldn't have gotten the Wii. I don't know. Maybe we still would have. Nintendo was, crazy, but I don't know if the GameCube was super successful. They would have went to the Wii and tried something just off the wall. So you just never know. You don't want to mess with history that way, because you saw what happened when you mess with history, man. You step on a butterfly and ruin everything. But yeah, so that's my video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell me if you liked it or not. Share your memories with the GameCube. Again, don't let people tell you that the mini disc was a problem, because it wasn't. It was a solution for long loading games. Nintendo they were really adamant about that, not having these games that took forever to load. That's what turned them off to the deal with Sony. It was one of the things that turned them off to the deal with the add-on, because, oh my God, these load times are insane. They didn't want the players to be interrupted. And obviously, some of it has to do with pirating and all that stuff. They were worried about games being pirated. They still worry about that today, as we know. So it wasn't just that. But yep, that's my video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you want me to make more videos like this? They're long as hell, but I'm sharing my history, and I'm sharing gaming history. So let me know what you think. And thank you for watching and listening. And I'll see you fools next time. Peace out.